What you are about to witness is the most exclusive first class from one of the best airlines in the world. It's unlike anything else in aviation, and the experience makes you wish your 8-hour flight was 80 hours long. This is not an airplane seat, this is a hotel room in the sky. And if you're lucky enough to be traveling with someone else, you can experience something truly extraordinary. A real double bed at 40,000 feet. Come along to hear my thoughts on Singapore Airlines' flagship Airbus A380 first class suites, and all about how I paid to show you how to do the same. I'm Nonstop Dan, a half Swede and half American who's been obsessed with airplanes for as long as I can remember. Over the past 7 years, I've been lucky to call reviewing flights my job, and in that time, I've flown 150 different airlines, virtually all self-funded because I'm really into this honesty thing. Nonstop Dan is all about trying to get as much value as possible with my miles, or when those are running low, my money, and then spreading the word so you guys get optimal value and can enjoy your travels to the max, and hopefully enjoy my geeky videos along the way. Our adventure starts in Gothenburg, Sweden, where Oscar and I flew down the day before and spent the night at an airport hotel in Frankfurt. Good morning. Check-in closes in 10 minutes, so we gotta go. The following morning, we had to get up pretty early for our 8:30 a.m. departure. Since we were checking in pretty last minute, there was no line for any cabin, including suites class of course. There were 4 passengers on board in suites, one of whom you might know. More on that later. Interestingly, at least 3 of these 4 first class passengers paid with miles, Oscar and myself included, so the cabin wasn't generating much in terms of revenue for the airline. While by no means cheap, if you can find a ward space, these suites are available for 86,000 miles per person one way from Frankfurt to New York or vice versa, and about 100 euros in taxes per person. This was expensive, but so worth it. I transferred these points from American Express to Singapore Airlines, which let me book the seats almost instantly. Right now, you can enjoy a massive 60 to 75,000 point sign-up bonus on the American Express Gold Card if you live in the US. Then, once you've found a ward space on Singapore Airlines website, you can simply transfer points directly to them and book. It doesn't get easier than that. US viewers can apply now before the bonus is gone at the link in the description. From check-in, we cleared security and immigration before heading straight to the gate. Don't want to be late. We're heading to the gate. As far as ground service, Singapore Airlines really does nothing. You have a first class check-in desk, but then the experience until you board is the same as for all other passengers. And there she was, our Singaporean beauty. The most iconic airplane from one of the world's most iconic airlines. Whew, exciting. This aircraft had just arrived from a 13-hour overnight flight from Singapore. A good portion of the passengers on board were continuing from Singapore to New York, but everyone was forced to get off during the layover so the airplane could be properly cleaned. What a crazy and exhausting travel day for those people. With a total of only 230 passengers on board, our flight was nowhere near capacity though. Soon enough, suites class passengers were welcomed to board, and as we made our way to the front of the line, for all my Singaporean viewers, we felt damn atas. As a die-hard av geek and extremely frequent flyer, few things feel as good as boarding one of your favorite airlines for a flight in first class. The happiness, excitement, and overwhelming stress of trying to get everything on video is very real. Now, Singapore Airlines reconfigured A380s feature an entirely premium upper deck, with 82 business class seats and a mere 6 first class suites. As a point of reference, Emirates, who has another excellent first class product, crams 14 first class seats into the same space. That is just insane. Oscar and I were sitting in 1F and 2F, which convert into a double suite. The same goes for 1A and 2A. But row 3 doesn't offer this feature. Sadly, there's no way to make a triple suite, which would be interesting for families perhaps, but I imagine that would be a pretty limited use since few people travel this type of first class product in 3s. We were greeted at the door by the 2 lovely lead flight attendants, Benjamin and Sandy, who led us to our seats. are beyond incredible seats.
Yes. This could be actually turned into a flat bed. And of course, if you want to have it like a queen size bed, you can always bring down one of the other.
Amazing. First impressions?
I'm just happy to be here.
The middle wall was initially up, but the flight attendants offered to lower it so we could socialize even before takeoff. It's hard to describe the amount of space you feel here. Even in a solo seat, this is unlike anything else in this category. Obviously, the main feature of most first class seats, the chair, seems completely insignificant here. Yes, you have your comfortable chair that swivels to 3 preset seating configurations, but there's so much more. Benjamin insisted we start out the flight with some cheap champagne. Just a $300 bottle of 2008 Dom Perignon. We couldn't say no because, if nothing else, it feels like you're drinking money, which, you know, is kind of a lavish state of mind. At this point, everything was going very quickly since the airline wanted to make up for lost time. So before we knew it, Pushback had begun and the nostalgic Singapore Airlines safety video began to play.
Welcome aboard Singapore Airlines. As the safety equipment on this aircraft may differ from that on other aircraft, please give us your attention as we bring you through this important safety briefing and on a journey through Singapore.
This has to be among my top 5 favorite safety videos of all time. I almost teared up seeing it for the first time in 2 years. As we taxied to the runway, we passed the low-cost airline known as Lufthansa and their low-cost subsidiary Eurowings. It made me think back to my business class fiasco with them earlier this year and made me so grateful that credit card points give me the flexibility to redeem miles with so many different airlines, instead of being stuck with one, since clearly some are far better than others. Getting these rewards cards, or any type of credit for that matter, all relies on one thing though: a good credit score. Now, if you're in the US, your credit score is the primary tool used by lenders to determine whether or not you can get a loan for things like a car, a house, or even a child's education. The problem is that many Americans are ruining their credit scores by carrying high balances. The national average is $6,000 with an average interest of 15%. That is where today's video sponsor, Upstart, comes to the rescue. Whether you finally want to get control of your credit cards, consolidate high interest debt, or fund important personal expenses, over 1 million people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment with a clear payoff date. Upstart knows that you are more than just your credit score. Their model considers other factors like your income, your employment, and any other information that you submit in your loan application to find you a smarter rate for your loan. You can check your rate without impacting your credit score in just 5 minutes for loans between $1,000 and $50,000, and potentially save a lot of money on your monthly interest payments. Learn more at upstart.com/nonstop or at the link at the top of the description. That is upstart.com/nonstop. With that, let's blast out of Frankfurt. Congratulations to this recent subscriber for winning a Singapore Airlines Suites Amenity kit from Uber Luxe brand Lalique. You guys can win awesome prizes in every video with no need to enter as long as you've hit that subscribe button. So welcome to our double suite on the Singapore Airlines Airbus A380. This is crazy. Let me show you around the seat. To be honest, it's overwhelming to try to show this suite on video. I mean, I had 8 hours in it and barely managed to learn about all the features. Let's start here in this part of the suite nearest the windows. Your chair swivels around to face the outside with a large surface that fits a laptop. There are 3 storage compartments on this surface, with one containing a lit up mirror. There's also this detachable SQ style tablet that controls the entertainment system if you wish. Under that, you have a huge selection of suite controls and charging and an HDMI port, and you know, one of these, not that I've ever had to use one on a plane. Storage certainly won't be a problem at this seat since there's a large storage bin under the window side console, as well as enough storage for a frickin' body bag under the bed. Even better, there's a full closet by the suite entrance that would have fit 10 of my backpacks. It even has hangers and a pretty large mirror. Turning 90 degrees to the rear wall, there's another surface with a beautiful fake orchid, a stylish lamp, and the tray table, which is massive. There's an additional charging port here, allowing you to power up multiple devices at once in your suite. In the armrest of the chair, you'll find a remote that also controls the entertainment system, along with some seat swivel controls. Now if you want, the TV swivels to face your chair, but who wants to watch TV from a chair when you can watch TV from a separate bed? The wonderful crew offered to make the bed almost immediately after takeoff, and how could we decline? Ironically, the bed has more modes of recline than the chair, and you can go from almost upright to fully lie flat. You get these two incredibly plush pillows, the best I can remember getting on a plane, and this comfortable, sleek cover with a mattress pad underneath. I will say the bed is surprisingly hard. I guess it's Southeast Asian style, but one piece of feedback I have is that it would be amazing to have different types of mattress pads that let you adjust if you want a softer or harder bed. That's literally my one piece of constructive criticism in this video. Now look at this. I'd rather take this hard bed in Singapore Airlines suites over pretty much any other first class seat any day. Now another great thing about this suite, as you might have guessed, is the closing door. It gives you utmost privacy and a private jet-like feeling that's only rivaled by Emirates 777 Gamechanger, which is only available on 9 planes, or Etihad's A380 apartments. The patterns on Singapore Airlines doors allows for small holes for the crew to peep through to know if they can enter, if you've finished your meal, etc. But when seated, the middle section of the door perfectly blocks the exterior, giving you complete privacy. It's also a nice touch that the door pattern continues onto the cabin ceiling lights. It's this attention to detail that makes you appreciate Singapore Airlines even more. Lastly, I guess we should say that there were no individual air vents, but the cabin was kept at the perfect temperature throughout the flight. If you've watched my videos before, you know I value good onboard service more than most people. To me, a good crew is essential for a good flight, and oh boy, this crew was as good as they come. Right after settling in, every suite's passenger gets welcomed on board, by name of course, by 2 first-class stewardesses, the chief stewardess, and the in-flight supervisor. In my opinion, the Singaporeans strike just the right balance of professionalism and a laid-back sense of humor that just hits the nail on the head every time. It goes without saying that this is the type of welcome you'd expect on a flight with a retail price starting at $550 an hour. During boarding, Benjamin, the wonderful lead steward, had handed out so-called comfort kits containing Lalique pajamas and slippers. You gotta love getting this on a daytime flight. Although I could have technically changed in my suite, there's no reason to do so since the lavatory looks like this. I mean, the A380 first class lavatory is always special. It's so big that Emirates fits showers in here. But even without showers, Singapore Airlines has among my favorite airplane lavatories in the world. Talk about a classy looking place to do your business. The water flow in the sink is just so opulent. The vanity is unparalleled, and where is even the toilet? Oh, here it is. We'll get to the onboard amenities soon, but whatever isn't provided at the seat is available in the special amenities drawer. I can't imagine needing anything other than this, along with these Lalique toiletries. To be honest, this toilet is nicer than many other first-class seats. So I changed into the comfort suit, aka the pajamas, and not only did the crew give me the perfect size, but it was comfortable and decent looking in my opinion. Back at the seat, the crew was eager to begin serving lunch. Sadly, Singapore Airlines has removed onboard menus, but the options were viewable in their app. It's also worth noting that Singapore Airlines has a unique feature. When I last reviewed this suite 4 years ago, a lot of you got a laugh out of this. So Singapore Airlines is very famous for their cook the book service, where you order whatever food you want online beforehand, The unique feature is called Book the Cook, of course. Jeez. This gives you a huge selection of options to book ahead of your flight, but for some reason it was limited to the items on the menu on today's flight, presumably since we were departing from Frankfurt. This is the regular menu with quite an extensive lunch section. The pre-landing meal section was surprisingly limited though, given the flight length. The drink menu on Singapore Airlines is extraordinary, with champagnes and wines that most other airlines can only dream of serving. The cocktail and mocktail menus are also impressive. I pre-ordered my favorite meal on SQ, the Oriental vegetarian meal, but let's just say Frankfurt catering isn't exactly a leader in culinary excellence. Our meal started with this enormous canapé. Normally they serve satay, but the vegetarian option was this interesting plate of miscellaneous food items. The presentation is stunning and it tasted quite good. Of course, I heard the satay was excellent. We were also served a mocktail that Benjamin came up with himself. He called it a New York surprise in honor of our destination. So fun and so delicious. Unlike a typical New York surprise, this surprise didn't chase me around the block with one shoe on while screaming profanities at bypassers who continue to go about their day like it's a typical Tuesday afternoon. God, I love New York. Next up was the starter, by far the most underwhelming part of the meal. Can you imagine other passengers got caviar here? Quite the price difference, though again, this does come down to Frankfurt catering. The next course was a great shiitake mushroom and pak choi soup, the kind I love to have for breakfast with some noodles and roasted garlic in Southeast Asian breakfast buffets. I enjoyed the meal with a tropical fizz mocktail and an authentic German pretzel roll. Throughout the meal, service was perfectly paced. I never went over a minute with an empty plate, but they never came too early either. SQ magic, I guess. The main course was the highlight of the meal for me. It was some sort of 5-spice sweet and salty mushroom mix with perfectly cooked rice and tofu. Again, the crew plating is really next level. Finally, dessert, which is usually a highlight for me in Oriental vegetarian meals out of Singapore, but today was merely a fruit plate. If you want to see what catering is like out of Singapore, I suggest checking out my last review of this product from back in 2018, where the food was significantly more special. But all in all, this wasn't a bad meal. Needless to say, Oscar was in nirvana and was soaking up every second of the experience. You may wonder, Dan, what were you watching the entire meal? What are those headphones? Dan, tell us, we must know. Fine, the Suite's headphones are from B&O. I think they speak for themselves. This is as good as it gets, but as always, they are for use on the flight only, not a gift or souvenir. Now, Chris World, SQ's entertainment system, is just as good as Emirates Ice, and sits right by the top as one of the best in the world. The options are almost endless and everyone will find something they love. One of my biggest airline pet peeves is putting one episode from random TV shows, usually from the middle of the 5th season, on the entertainment system, patting yourself on the back and calling it a day. Therefore, you'll be pleased to know that Singapore Airlines carries complete seasons of an insane 47 shows. Wow. They also had 5 episodes from the latest season of my favorite discovery of 2022, Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I happily binged that. Yes, I know I'm late to the Larry David party, but he's now my idol along with Susie Green.
Larry, what the hell did you do to my picture? Oh my God, it was beautiful and it's all destroyed!
In case you want to be a responsible adult and work, or scroll through Instagram, I don't judge, you can connect to Onboard Wi-Fi. Singapore Airlines has come a long way since they introduced Onboard Wi-Fi, since it's now completely free for Suites passengers with no data or time limits. The speeds were great, and I really enjoyed being able to do what I do on the ground, Google random questions whenever they popped into my head. Let's get back to what I promised you a long time ago in the lavatory, the amenities. Singapore Airlines has long had a different approach to amenities from most airlines. Anything you'll need on a flight is available on request, but they provide an eye mask and socks in everyone's closet. Nowadays, you also get a hygiene kit that contains some useful bits and pieces. The real star, however, is this Lalique square. You can tell the kit is expensive, and inside it is probably the most unique airline amenity on Earth. A scented candle. Of course, they warn you not to light it on board, but still. You also get a bar of soap. Interesting. Along with some lip balm and body lotion. This kit is more about flashiness than anything else, and for me, that's what first class is all about. Unnecessary, superfluous luxuries that make you feel like you're living a life of total abundance. One thing's for sure, space is abundant here, especially given that there's only one aisle, which is, well, crazy for a twin-aisle aircraft. Again, I have to emphasize that the crew were real stars of the show. They kept checking on us, chatting when appropriate, and took so much pride in their jobs. Benjamin just gave us the most amazing story about how Singapore Airlines crew, especially in suites, will go above and beyond. He said if we want the moon, we'll try to get it for us.
Yes, we will do that for our passengers. It's true.
That's what we love to hear. At one point, we had 3 flight attendants in our suite. I guess they were fascinated by our freakishly extensive knowledge of Singapore culture and slang. But what can I say lah? We might be angmos, but on the inside we're just 2 uncles who love to nickel and dime our way through a hawker center. When Benjamin heard we were going to Jamaica from New York, he insisted we try their signature Jamaican Sweets coffee, which was seriously delicious. I enjoyed it with another mocktail while watching Curb in bed with Oscar. Life just doesn't get better than this. When I say an 8-hour flight in Singapore Airlines suites feels shorter than a 30-minute flight in economy on any other airline, I'm really not kidding. In what felt like the blink of an eye, we only had 90 minutes left to New York, and the crew came by to serve our pre-arrival meal. I started getting out of bed when they said, "What do you like to eat in bed?" I said, "What? We can eat in bed?" "Yes, of course," Sandy said, and pulled out a portable tray. I've been lucky to try almost all major airlines in international first class reviewing flights for you guys, but this is something I could never imagine in my wildest dreams. So we had our second lunch in bed. This time we enjoyed it with a delicious Singapore Sling, the must-drink cocktail on Singapore Airlines. Can you believe the presentation is this good for what's essentially breakfast in bed? The meal, as I mentioned earlier, judging just by the menu, wasn't exactly great, but I was still loving life. Now there's one more thing to show you, the solo seats. I checked out 1A. Oh, hi Will. Being on the same flight as Mr. Trek Trendy was entirely coincidental, but I'm really glad we got to meet in person for the first time. He published a great review of his flight eating regular food, so you can check that out if you're curious. Now a serious look at the solo seats. Just extraordinary, the amount of space. Although I have to say being able to share the experience with a loved one really takes the cake. Now, let me enter New Yorker mode. After all, it's my family home. Listen, what can I say? This airline, it's incredible. Okay, Singapore Airlines offers one of the top 3 ways to get across the Atlantic without a doubt, and among the best first-class experiences in the world. Almost everything on board is perfect in my opinion, and it would almost be impossible to have a bad flight in their suites. Of course, the ground experience is rather underwhelming even compared to Lufthansa, so that's an area they could work on. Surely they can negotiate to use the first class terminal and private transfers. Then again, I'm not sure why Lufthansa would simply give away the only reason to choose Lufthansa over Singapore Airlines. If you haven't already, check out the incredible limited time sign-up bonus on the American Express Gold Card, which gets you closer to being able to have this once-in-a-lifetime flight experience as well. Don't forget, if you get 75,000 points, that's almost enough for this ticket by getting 1 credit card. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks again for supporting my unbiased and self-funded videos. And until I see you all next time, fly safe, my friends.